Hey guys, welcome to the show. This is Nestor Gibbs.
And I'm Ring Walk Danny. What's going on, guys? What are we doing today? Canelo-Bivol tomorrow. You know, something different about this show today, Nestor. I don't know what it is.
Can't wait, man. You know, super excited to watch this fight. Canelo going up to 175, man. It's amazing what he's done in the boxing world.
And he's just generating more and more attention to the sport. People are talking. Anytime he fights, I mean, people are just in it, and just put the. Do you feel like people just keep overlooking his opponents? I feel like every time Canelo fights, they're already talking about who he should fight after this fight. You know, do you feel like people overlook the opponents?
You know what, man? You know, I gotta give him proud. You know, because you know he's a very disciplined guy, man. I feel that right now at this point, man, he can do anything he wants. I think.
Speaking of anything he wants, did you see what he told Barack from Akam Barack? Did you hear what? Did you see what Barack his Instagram boxing bully? I don't know if you guys saw what he posted the other day, that Canelo apparently told one of his team members that if they can get Usyk to make 201 pounds even, he'll go up and beat him.
See, that's
what I'm saying. People are talking, but we got Bivol first, right? I mean, do you think first of all, do you think Usyk can even make 201? I don't even know if Usyk can get back down to that weight.
I think he could do it. I think he could do it, but that would be a little bit too much now. You know, I think, especially him, man. You know, he's one of my favorite fighters too, and he's a dangerous fighter, man. He does angles. He's a monster, man. So
and he's big. I mean, he's 6'3".
Exactly. So I don't see that. But anything's possible right now. These days, man, these guys are just breaking records and look good.
Yeah. And but do you think people are overlooking Bivol? I mean, you're talking about these things. I mean, I feel like Bivol is a real live guy here, man. I feel like, you know, he's not getting the respect. Granted, every time it's a Canelo fight week, let's face it, the opponent really never gets a lot of respect. You know, he's just kind of there as a bridesmaid to Canelo being the bride. But ultimately, I feel like Bivol is legitimately dangerous. He's a natural 175. He's more in his prime than was Kovalev when Canelo fought Kovalev. The only other time he was a fight night light heavyweight. Bivol is a busy guy. He comes to win, and he's undefeated. You know,
he's a champion for a reason, man. Yeah. He's a champion for a reason. I think there's going to be an exciting fight, a really good fight. One of them is going to go down early, I think, because both of them come forward.
So you think the power of Canelo carries over again? Because, I mean, he was a one-punch knockout over Kovalev, but I feel like Kovalev almost didn't want to be there. I feel like we're going to see a Bivol that wants to be there. Then whether he can win or not is a different story, but I feel like we're going to get a Bivol that actually wants to be in the ring with Canelo and wants to fight. You know, can Canelo then get that respect with that kind of power? Can he hurt him like that?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, he has to show the world, man. I think he's going to come forward. He's going to try to beat him. I just think, man, we won't know until we see that fight. You know, the first round, second round, we'll put everything together.
I mean, those first rounds are butterflies,
exactly,
man. You know what I noticed about Canelo? His opponents, because it's like he's like this generation's Floyd Mayweather, Sugar Ray Leonard, whatever, all the guy, the man of the generation. That first round for the opponents, no matter how good of a fighter they are, that first round, it's like they're still kind of caught in headlights, man, and like a deer in headlights. The crowd is so loud, and it's just a big spectacle. You know, Canelo, he's like he's in his living room. He's been there. He's done that. He already understands the spectacle.
Yeah, you know, I think, like you said, man, you know, but you know, Bivol, he doesn't box that much. He's a good boxer, don't get me wrong, but he comes forward. Canelo comes forward. So that's we're going to see who's stronger and who's going to push. Two Rams
locking horns, bro.
Exactly. So I think like first round, second round, we'll definitely figure it out.
All right, we're going to.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. And we are live from the Fight Stars Fight House here with not only Paulie Malignaggi, but Jose Benavidez Sr. and Daniel Alvarez. I am Nestor Gibbs, and we're going to be talking about, obviously, Canelo Alvarez, Dimitri Bivol, and we're going to give our weigh-in reactions.
You don't introduce your guests? We just got here. You guys have been hosting the whole time.
That's what I'm saying.
Paulie
Malignaggi.
Jose we just got here. Well, I'm glad to be on the show. Welcoming myself in. How you doing?
Paulie, what's up, man? Come on. I know we were running a little bit late, man, but
no.
I get here.
What are you talking about? Nobody saw that. You guys were here the whole time.
All right.
Nobody saw that. The show started on time.
They're saying Danny doesn't have an Italian accent in the chat.
What's going on, Paulie?
So have you guys had an opportunity to watch the weigh-in?
Nah.
No?
I haven't,
Oh, all right. So I'm gonna send Austin. Austin, can you go ahead and play the weigh-in for me? It is on Dazn Instagram. We could get a clip. I'm gonna send it to you actually. Why can't I not copy paste? What's up with this?
But both men did make weight. I found it interesting for Canelo to be moving up and to be on a mostly vegan diet. Paulie, did you think anything of that? Wouldn't you think he'd want to be putting meat into his body?
Listen, I mean,
Moving up in weight?
I mean, I can't assume anything. Listen, one thing I'll say is this, okay? Canelo has enough money to afford the best dietitians, the best supplement guys, and the best everything. So I feel like if he changed his diet, it's probably something he may have tried in the off season, so to speak, in between camps to see how he feels. I don't think you necessarily try something new in a training camp. I can't see a guy like that with his experience and with the intelligence of a team that he has, because, you know, like I said, when you have that kind of money, you can afford the smartest people around you. I can't figure to think that he just randomly went on this vegan diet and just trying it for this fight. I think this is something that he probably already has experimented with in the past.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they had an experience and see how he feels in sparring and the days when he's training.
Yeah.
You can't go to a fight with something new, you know?
And you don't even go to the training camp that way. They probably tried this before training camp.
Exactly.
Or,
They had to
have experimented before. Because
see how the energy feels and all that too.
Have either of you guys implemented a vegan diet into your training camps and or your fighters training camps?
No, not yet, man. You know, but I tried. Actually, I started like about 2 weeks ago and trying to leave the chicken, the red meats and all that. Man, I felt bad, you know, the first 2 days.
But you were trying it for yourself.
First, for myself, you know, and I, you know, actually whatever the boxers go through, I have to go through in order to understand and see how they feel, you know. It's not that none of my fighters want to go vegan, you know, but I think I want to try it. I want to see how it feels, and maybe I could recommend it or not, you know.
Yeah, Timothy Bradley was definitely famous for going vegan during his 8 weeks of training camp. For the last part of his career, he would be going vegan. We'll see, man, if that plant-based power actually gives Canelo some power. Do either of you expect for Canelo to lose any sort of power? Danny, obviously, we'll start with you, being on the far left. Do you think Canelo loses any power not being on his normal diet?
I think not just not being on his normal diet, but also going up in weight. We got to think he's been campaigning at 68 for quite, the last several fights. So the last 4. So I think because of both of those reasons, he'll definitely lose some pop and some power moving up.
Paulie, with the high guard of Bivol, I'm assuming, right, that the plan will be to attack that body. Is it that simple, or do you think it's going to be a lot more intricate than that?
I think it's a little bit more intricate than that because Bivol has good legs. He's in and out, so you've got to find the range to get to the body because Bivol's a little bit taller. So I do think Bivol gives you opportunities to counter him to the body, and I think that Canelo tends to get your timing down if you don't start to change your rhythm. We've seen over the course of the last couple of fights and just overall in his career, he's a smart fighter. He starts to kind of hone in on the rhythm that you give him if you don't mix it up enough. So I think it's important for Bivol to mix up that in and out that he does. Maybe, you know, I don't know how he's going to do it with some feints or just throwing in different punches or whatnot. It's up to him, whatever he's working on. But I think if he starts to become sort of mechanical and sort of repetitive with it, I think you're going to start to see Canelo get to that body with some of those counters, especially as far as getting to it leading up to it. I think early on it's not going to be that easy because, again, Bivol's taller and Bivol has good legs. You got to close the gap at first, you know, so you got to work on closing that gap first. And so that's going to be sort of the first battle of many sub battles, you know, and many subliminal little wars inside the overall big war. And that first one is going to be Canelo cutting that distance and trying to be effective with that distance, while Bivol is trying to maintain that long distance and use that busy style that he has. I mean, I think Bivol naturally is a busier guy, which gives him an advantage in terms of ability to win rounds. Canelo usually gets you to diminish your output by making you hesitant based on his counterpunching ability. So I want to see who wins that part of it because Bivol is usually a little bit busier.
Jose, when it comes to Bivol, how can you explain, I guess, the differences between Sergey Kovalev? Why would a Dmitry Bivol be more dangerous than a Sergey Kovalev, who was a 3-time 175-pound champ? How can you explain to the audience why Bivol is more dangerous, if not as dangerous? Or do you think the opposite? Was Kovalev, with his experience and all the time he shared the ring with Ward, does that make him slightly more of a problem for anyone?
You know, I see it a different way. I don't think Bivol is going to bring any danger to Canelo.
Oh, wow.
To be honest with you, he's a great fighter. Don't get me wrong. He's a champion for a reason. He's really good at what he does. We sparred before because of the experience we had sparring with him, with David Benavidez. If you stay on the outside, he has a pretty good jab in the right hand. He has a really good right hand. And he's really good at fundamentals, basics there if you stay in front of him. I think the key for Canelo, like Paulie said, you know, he's going to have to use some feints, man. Make him think that he's going to stay there and move to the side and cut the distance a little bit and maybe attack the body a little bit more and give him more pressure. Because I think Bivol, when you're inside, he struggles a little bit. He needs that distance. And I think Canelo is going to stay short, move, feint, make him throw something so he can counter and something like that. And if Bivol decides to put his guard up, he's going to throw to those elbows, those shoulders, you know, behind those elbows to the body and make him open up a little bit so he can throw something so he can counter with a good shot. That's what I think.
So a little bit of that Callum Smith plan, beat his bicep if he's in the high guard.
And find his way in. Cut the distance, I think, so he can take that right hand away.
See, for me though, Callum was sort of more stationary than Bivol. You know, I don't see Bivol being that kind of stationary guy. Even Callum in the fights that he was doing well, he was still a bit more stationary, very, very, very well, good fundamentally, but a bit more stationary. Bivol naturally is not as stationary, so cutting the gap on him is going to be cutting that distance on him is going to be a little bit more of a tricky thing. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I've never found Canelo's feet to be that fast. You know, like he's got sharp, quick hands, but his feet have never been that fast. He consistently pressured Golovkin, though, in the rematch. He consistently brought that pressure. But that's a smaller guy. You know, you're going to be able to... And a guy who doesn't have as quick a legs as Bivol, right? So I mean, I think it's important that he cuts off the ring, but I'm curious to see where he goes with that, man, because he's not got the fastest feet, Canelo. He sort of likes to be comfortable in that right here, like, you know, where he can kind of square off with you and be tricky. But in terms of closing that gap, a lot of times I don't even see him pushing off his back foot when he jabs in, really. He doesn't even jab with that strong, like, stepping in hard with it. You know what I mean? Like, so, again, closing that gap on Bivol, for me, that's the fight. But I think it's a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, like Paulie says, you know, I mean, he's not good at his feet, but he does move his waist a lot. So he's going to make him, you know, miss, and throw something. You know, miss, and throw something. And that's when I said cut the distance, you know, it's not like he's going to go in and move and use his legs. He's just going to make a miss in order to hit something and cut the distance little by little. That's what I think, you know. Like I said, if he shells and keeps his hands up, he's going to hit those shoulders, man.
Make them miss, make them pay. Well, Danny Alvarez, obviously I know that Ringwalk does not want the third Gennady Golovkin fight, but can you at least explain to us why you believe that Bivol is a better fight than Gennady, or do you still think even that third Gennady Golovkin fight that you don't want would be a better fight than this Bivol fight that we're having Saturday night?
No, I think obviously it's more of a challenge. We've seen better of Bivol lately than we've seen of Gennady. I think lately of Gennady we see a Gennady past his prime, a Gennady that doesn't have the power that he used to have, not as quick as he used to be, gets tired, you know. So to me, I think Bivol provides more of a challenge, has a very, very sharp jab in my opinion, and I think for those reasons, it provides that challenge. And of course, you know, it's a new established belt for Canelo. You know, Bivol has been an established champion, so to me that's always a plus. But I think just Bivol's been sharper lately.
I want you to share that experience we had this afternoon, which is a little bit funny because, Jose, I mean, I don't know. Maybe you spoken to the gardener once or twice, being as though that you've been here for so long. But we had an exchange with him, and he is not spending his money on this fight with Canelo Alvarez and Dmitry Bivol. I thought he was saying, I'm not going to pay for this pay-per-view because of Bivol. What was, the exact phrase that he used is obviously not common to me.
No, he basically was just saying that he isn't fighting anybody, that he should be fighting David, which I do agree that that's a fight that should happen. But I'm like, yo, you do realize like he just fought like all these champions, and he's like, yeah, but they're nobodies. Like, I'd rather watch him go. I'm like, so I asked him like, what do you guys what do you think about the Golovkin fight?
You know, the fans, man, are always gonna want to watch something exciting. Is this an exciting fight? Not to me either. I'm not trying to be jealous here, you know, but to me, I'm not excited.
But the fear of him moving up to 75 to face a young, hungry champion, because we can admit this isn't Sergey Kovalev. You know, there isn't anything hiding. You know, this is just a disciplined fighter. Unlike Kovalev, that there were, you know, some history with him not being disciplined in camp. You know, John David Jackson coming out. So isn't this still more dangerous? He's got to be. Like, I mean, if Kovalev made it to 11, Paulie, and
I thought Kovalev wasn't really hungry in the fight, but I still thought Kovalev did pretty well in the fight. Honestly,
some people thought he was winning.
I thought he was winning. You know what I mean?
And
I thought
he's older
he
than
was
Bivol.
nitpicking him. He wasn't the killer Kovalev though. You know, he wasn't the crusher Kovalev in that fight though. He was kind of like touching him, and I was kind of
But
like,
that's the
I was
point.
kind of like, what is he doing? You know what I mean? Like, but I still, again, you could see Canelo's problems closing the gap in that fight. Like he's got slow feet, and that was. Like, and listen, the judges are going to have you ahead no matter what. Let's face it, bro. In reality, before we go any further, we're watching this fight for the entertainment value. If this goes the distance, we already know what's going to happen no matter what happened inside the ring. You know what I mean? So we're watching. In boxing, unfortunately, as fans, we're reduced to just watching the fight for the entertainment value of two guys getting it on, giving us a good fight. Then if it goes to the cards, it's not like we don't know what's going to happen already. You know what I mean? Regardless of how it played out inside the ring. But having said that, I think Bivol is hungrier than Kovalev. Listen, you guys already know how I feel about Eastern European fighters, you know. So I think this guy's gonna be hungry. He's not gonna. I don't think he's gonna be as intimidated as say. Like, I felt like Billy Joe and Caleb. They were very good fighters, but when they got in the ring, there's a spectacle. I was telling David before. I was telling Jose before. There's a spectacle about getting inside the ring with Canelo. You know what I'm saying? There's a spectacle about being. He's the superstar of the moment. You know, he's the Ray Leonard. He's the Floyd Mayweather. He's this generation. It's Canelo. So that spectacle can bite at you emotionally when you're inside the ring with him, especially that first round, the walkout, the introductions, the first round. And I think some of these guys were sort of like deer caught in headlights early in the fight, and some of them never got into the fight. I never thought Billy Joe Saunders got into the fight. I've seen Billy Joe find his range very well in certain fights, be very comfortable. He never found his distance in the Canelo fight. He was throwing every left hand from too far away. He was too hesitant to get close enough to throw the left hand from the proper distance. I've never seen Billy Joe fight that way. You can say it's Canelo doing that. Yeah, I think it was more Canelo's reputation than it was actually anything Canelo was doing, because Canelo wasn't exactly changing range on him at all. But again, Billy Joe just couldn't get that extra 6 to 8 inches inside, where when he threw the left hand, it was at a good point. It was always coming up just a little short, or if he landed it, it was on the end of the shot where it wasn't doing anything. And finally, he paid the price for that when he threw a left hand for too far away and got hit with a monster counter uppercut, because Canelo will get the timing on you if you don't get creative on him. So what I'm saying is,
what exactly is creative?
But what I'm saying, creative is like Jose said, to change the angle a little bit, step around, you give it some feints. You know, don't be repetitive. Just because something is working, when you're fighting a world-class fighter like Canelo, just because something is working, it doesn't mean it's going to keep working on you. As a matter of fact, a world-class fighter like Canelo will make you think it's working and suck you in for the big counter. You know what I mean? Make you feel like it's comfortable and then suck you in to make you pay for it. You know, so you got to deal with that. But what I'm saying is basically, to go back to where I was starting about Eastern European fighters, the fighters from certain parts of the world, they got ice in their veins. You know what I mean? These guys, they're a little bit like emotionless. That's kind of what I like about those fighters from that part of the world. So I think Bivol is going to fight the fight. You know, whether he wins or not, then it's up to everybody's. But I think he's going to fight the fight. I don't think he's going to be caught up in the moment. Kovalev, a younger Kovalev would have also fought the fight. You know what I mean? But an older Kovalev was taking his $15 million and going home, bro. He is, and if I can win this fight, I'll win it. But I'm not going to put myself at risk. I got my family at home. I got my kids at home. I got my wife at home. I'm good. But when you are still young, still hungry, still with that drive in front of you to make your name, you fight a different mentality. And I think when you're from certain parts of the world, it's that ice in your veins is a little bit colder. You know, it's not saying Bivol wins or loses the fight. It has nothing to do with a prediction for the winner or loser. But what I'm saying is, I think Bivol fights the fight. I think he comes to fight the fight. Then whatever happens, happens. But I think he's going to come to fight the fight, and he's going to stay in there to fight the fight.
Jose, In that first Gennady-Golovkin fight, it felt like Canelo went into it on the back foot. I don't know if it was like Paulie was saying where, people, or rather Canelo was caught up in Gennady's alleged power and went into it on the back foot. Second fight, it seemed like, I felt that power. I can stand in the middle and give you lateral movement, but
he got hurt.
But he didn't have to go on that back foot.
No. He fought. He adjusted the game plan, but he got hurt in the second fight. Golovkin hurt him in round 11.
Do we see a little of that in this fight where maybe in the first rounds he takes the back foot to feel him out and then eventually stands his ground, or is he just too big of a guy for him to go forward on?
You got to understand, Golovkin, man, had a lot of tools, and he adjusted to everything. The shots that he throw from top, uppercuts, body shots, jabs, right hands, he had a lot of tools, man. He knew when to use them. So the first fight, I think he did very well. That's all he does. Triple G comes forward. So I think he did good. In my opinion, I think he won that fight. The second fight, Canelo won that fight, in my opinion. I think he came forward and was determined to beat him and go forward too, I think. And that's what the difference, I can't even compare Golovkin to Bivol. Bivol's just, to me, it's basic. 1-1-2. I mean, to me, but maybe I could be wrong, No,
I think he is more basic. I think Golovkin has a bit more versatility to his style, but I think Bivol's bigger. He's more enthusiastic. He's a little quicker with his feet, so it's a little bit something that you can be basic, but if you're basic with quick feet, you're suddenly not basic even when you're basic. You know what I mean? If you're basic when you're slow feet, it's a lot easier to time. But when you're basic with quick feet, the range changes. You know what I mean? So it can complicate things just a little bit more. So I'll dare to say Golovkin probably might be a bigger puncher than Bivol, even though Bivol's a pretty good puncher at light heavyweight. I mean, it's possible. I thought Golovkin hurt Canelo in the second fight. I thought the second Golovkin and Canelo fight was a battle of adjustments. I think that's what gets lost in the second fight. I mean, Canelo made a big adjustment coming forward, closing the gap, biting down and taking it to him. But I thought Golovkin also made a real adjustment to say, man, this guy, I can't stop this guy from coming forward. Let me back up on the jab and box him. I thought Golovkin did a great job boxing. I thought Canelo made a great adjustment coming forward. I thought it was a battle of two world-class fighters that made world-class adjustments in the fight. I think that's what gets lost in the second fight. Then again, I mean, I thought Golovkin won the second fight too by making that adjustment. But again, it was a better fight. It was a close fight. And for me, the appreciation gets lost because people get with, you thought you won. Forget about that, bro. The adjustments two world-class fighters made in that fight, man, that's, I don't know. For me as an ex-fighter, that's something that I could really appreciate. Watch that. Like, I like watching the nuances, man. I like seeing the nuances. Maybe not everybody sees the nuances. Maybe not everybody has the educated eye I have, but I love the nuances I saw in that fight. Like, it was just a big turnaround from the first fight. Both guys. Like, Canelo made this big adjustment, came ready for it, and mentally he was ready for that adjustment. And Golovkin's like, oh, man, all right, we're going to do it this way. All right, I'm going to adjust back to you. And it was chess at such a high level. I mean, for me, it was beautiful to watch.
Paulie, what do you say to the people that say, obviously, Golovkin's jab is a great jab, and that gave Canelo a lot of problems. Bivol has a great jab as well. What do you say to those people?
I feel like Cotto's jab even gave Canelo some problems. I don't think Canelo's a big jabber. I think if you have a consistently good jab, you can give Canelo certain issues. I think that the jab is certainly a key to getting Canelo's respect, or at least sort of disassembling Canelo's attack a little bit, sort of throwing him for a loop because he's got to, he has trouble getting out of the way of a good jab. If you don't have a good jab, though, the guy will counter you badly because he's very good counter puncher. So you're playing with fire there when you talk about jabbing at Canelo. You better know how to do the jab. You better know how to throw the jab. You better know how to vary the jab. But if you know how to do that, guys with good jabs, I feel like they've given Canelo some problems. I think Cotto gave Canelo more problems than actually is talked about in that fight with that jab. I thought it allowed Cotto to control more rounds than were necessary just on the jab alone. You know what I mean? I thought Golovkin gave issues to Canelo with the jab in the second fight. And yeah, with Bivol, I mean, he's a tall guy. I expect to try to see him using that jab as a tall, rangy guy who's mainly, as Jose said, with the straight punches. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I would mainly expect to see a consistent jab out of a guy like that.
I'll tell you something, I think if Bivol trains and he comes at his best with condition and just uses that jab, I think like, he could win that fight with just the jab.
Yeah.
But he has to commit. He has to change the levels. He has to feint,
Yeah, he has to,
jab,
and he has
double
and
jab.
you can't sleep on that.
You
You can't sleep on that,
because he
just
can
that jab,
get
because
counter.
Canelo is
Will
like
counter.
a computer chip, bro. Canelo's like a computer, bro. I'm telling you, he's registering it, and when he counters, yo, you see him like, whoo.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
like, whoo.
But
Or it's like, whoo. Like, it's just like, oh, man. Like, what was that? You know what I mean?
But
Meantime,
that's
he
fine.
was already processing that from rounds before, you know? So you really have to know how to balance
But that's
out
what
your
I'm saying.
attack.
You know, he has to feint. He has to do double jabs, tap jabs, stiff jabs. You know, and then let the right hand go. Right
Absolutely,
away.
absolutely.
Those just fundamentals like that. But
absolutely.
he has to have a lot of condition in order to keep
Oh,
up
yeah,
with.
yeah, of
Otherwise, you know,
course.
you get tired. That's it. No more.
Of course, of course.
Now, we've seen guys like Tank and Canelo. Canelo in the Sergey Kovalev fight, he kind of did this pity pat thing as he's walking in, kind of parrying your incoming jab or right hand, slip into the right, or rather to his left, so to land that left hook. Is that something that you think we would see him kind of squaring up like you talked about, but walking down a Bivol?
In my opinion, I think when you have a good jab, a lot of people think jab to the face. No, there's shoulders, there's chest, there's stomach. Once you mix it up, every time you throw a jab to the stomach, people tend up to go there. They're off balance. They're not ready to throw a shot right there. But when you're just throwing to the face, guess what? Canelo's gonna capitalize on that and try to counter on that. You gotta throw to the chest, to the shoulders, jab upstairs to the stomach, and then let the right hand go.
Especially with Canelo's head movement, that's a very hard target to.
But that's why when he's moving, let's go to the body. The head moves, but not the body.
Yeah,
Don't you think?
I thought it was the same. I mean, I actually think of Danny Jacobs' fight when Jacobs missed a bunch of shots and when Canelo was really breezing through that defensively. And you're thinking about, like, why doesn't he go to the chest? You know, shoot that even to the body, but even to the chest right here. Because if you land, say, like a right hand to the chest and a guy's moving his head, right, and you land just a right hand right here to the chest, it's not going to hurt him. What it's going to do is it's going to break that rhythm. It's going to stop that rhythm. And then you can, you can shoot right off that. So, like, a lot of times you freeze the guy with that right hand right here. He might be a nice smooth flow, moving his head. Bang, that shit hits it right here. I mean, you can follow up right there because you've broken that flow. It stunted it. You know, it hasn't hurt him, but it broke the flow, and you can follow that up right there. You know?
I'll give you a
disrupt him.
I'll give you a good example. Shakur against Valdez. What a beautiful job with that jab, mixing it up to the stomach, to the chest, to the face. I mean, can Bivol do that for 12 rounds?
That was a strange fight, though, because Oscar himself chose not to use his jab. See, I don't foresee a Bivol just throwing up the earmuffs and trying to look for a way in without a jab. I don't know what Oscar was thinking.
That was also a right hand versus southpaw. Sometimes guys get confused. I'm telling you, some guys get confused for jabbing and southpaws. I'm telling you, especially a guy like Oscar, who's not really known as a jabber to begin with, against even right-handers. So he saw a left-hander in front of him. I think he psyched himself out. You know.
Well, you guys changed the subject to that. What did you guys think of what Bob said, where Shakur wants to be undisputed in that division? You still have Roger Gutierrez in the WBA,
Ogawa
in the IBF, but he's like, man, those fights are not going to sell. No one's going to watch that. You know, Shakur should not worry about undisputed and go for bigger name fights. What would you want to see Shakur do at 130 now that he's beaten Oscar Valdez?
I mean, for me, I don't think he's in a rush. I don't think there's no need to rush the kid. I mean, what is he, 23? 24?
24.
I mean, why rush the kid? Why not let him go undisputed? You know what I mean? What do you mean? Like, the kid is 24 years old. Why you got to rush the fight?
Bob's exact words were, those guys won't draw shit.
Well, you move the kid too fast and you wear him out too fast. It's not gonna draw shit either. Then I mean, you're gonna curtail his career. Like let the kid build up, because whether they draw shit or not, the kid becomes the undisputed world champion at 24, 25 years old, when already having won a world title at 126. Now you've got a resume that draws a lot. You now have a resume that draws a shitload against anybody. You know what I mean? Once you've accomplished that. So you're more so filling the resume bag by becoming the undisputed champion by 24, 25, after already having won a world championship at a weight class below. You know, for me, it's not about what the opponents draw. It's about what you're setting up your fighter to become, the kind of draw you're setting up your fighter to become by making him accomplish these feats at such a young age.
Paulie, but what if they believe in him just that much? They just think that, you know, he's bigger than a Roger Gutierrez or an Ogawa, and maybe Lomachenko makes more sense, you know, whether it's at 30 or 35.
First of all, they're not going to make the Lomachenko fight. Everybody's brave when they talk about Lomachenko. And nobody actually goes and fights Lomachenko. So I'm not to believe in Lomachenko until Lomachenko probably ages another year or two. Nobody's going to be brave to fight Lomachenko. Everybody talks Lomachenko like this. When it comes to doing this with Lomachenko, nobody does it. You know, you got to get talked into it. You got to fight. But everybody talks Lomachenko, though. But I tell you what, in terms of...
How does that fight play out, though?
Right now, I don't think he's ready for it. And I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think he beats Lomachenko.
Shakur Stevens.
Yeah, but I think there will be a time where he's ready for it. I think that, you know, there's that time where it's like this, you know. And
I think he's ready.
Yeah.
I think he's ready to
Yeah,
fight
it's
anybody.
12 rounds
But it's
with him.
50-50. Like, you know, you don't want to put your 24-year-old in a 50-50 that
But
that
why
when you need to
not,
right now.
Paul? I mean,
Okay,
like,
here's the thing. Everybody thought Meldrick Taylor was ready too. Okay, and by 27 years old, he was out of boxing. You know what I mean? That's why. That's why. Because you got these phenoms, and why is there a need to burn them out when you can sort of build up their resume, build up their reputation, turn them into being a monster draw because they are so talented. They are such superstar. There is such superstar potential there. Why do you have to shoot at such a young age and risk burning them out, taking the punishment, burning them out, possibly getting them beat or whatever else? When you can, they're still accomplishing all these great feats little by little by little. I mean, at the end of the day, did anybody, you guys talk about Nagawa and all these other guys, did anybody actually think Oscar Valdez was going to win more than 2 rounds in the fight? No. So what are we talking about with, what's Nagawa going to draw? What's this going to draw? What was Oscar Valdez ever going to win in that fight? Let's face it. I mean, nobody ever thought Oscar Valdez.
But he brought a fan base.
He brought the fan base, Paulie.
And Nagawa, you know, we might not think Nagawa's going to win or Gutierrez.
We know what else brings the fan base? Becoming undisputed champion brings the fan base. You know, you're creating a product. Shakur becomes a bigger product by having become the undisputed world champion while already having won a world championship at 126. So you got 24, 25-year-old who's a two-weight world champion, undisputed in one weight class. Now he's his own product. Doesn't matter who he fights. Doesn't matter who he fights because he's his own product. He dictates everything. And as his promoter, you dictate everything. So why rush the kid? Why?
When did it change?
Paulie, but...
Hold on. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying if Teofimo was ready at 23...
Was he ready? He was ready. He was great. But then look what happened.
He won.
Mentally, he just shut off and he got beat by Kambosos.
I mean...
He was ready.
You know, some people are just built different. But at the end of the day, if Teo is 23... less experience.
Listen, man.
And Shakur is more proven, more
got beat by
experienced.
Kambosos, a fighter where he was a 6-1 favorite, and he got beat by Kambosos.
People are built different, Paulie.
No, what's built different? 2 things in boxing that people keep trying to duplicate. They keep trying to duplicate the Overs O monster fight since the Ali Frazier fight. That started the Overs O. Before Ali Frazier, the Overs O wasn't a big deal. Ever since Ali Frazier, everybody makes a big deal about the O, and then people complain about why people don't want to lose the O, and then we got to make the O versus the O, and all that. Ever since, that's been 51 years now, okay? Ruined boxing. Great fight, but ruined boxing, ruined the perception of boxing. The other thing people are not trying to do, they all want the next Floyd Mayweather, because Mayweather actually was 21 years old, beating phenoms, one after another after another. There's one Floyd Mayweather, there's one Ali versus Frazier. That's it. Stop trying to copy it. Let things play out. Because before you had a Mayweather, you had ruined a Meldrick Taylor, like I said. So you got to take the good with the bad, use the strategy that you know works. Develop a fighter, build the star power. Shakur has it all. Why not let him win the undisputed title? It's a nice accomplishment. Why not
was
let him
it
do
different
that?
for Lomachenko for you? Is it simply because he started at a different age?
Yeah, 400, and also you got to move faster, yeah. But 400 amateur fights, I mean, he was this, you know, he was basically a pro as an amateur. You know what I mean?
Now for Shakur, do you think that he wants that fight? Because he is saying that, you know, if he can't get undisputed, he'll fight Loma.
I think Shakur would fight anybody himself. I think Shakur is that age where, you know, you're so confident in when you're as good as he is, you're almost in denial about, you know, who you are or aren't. And I think Shakur is more who he is than who he isn't at this point. He is more. You know, he isn't very whatever he doesn't have is very little. I mean, but I think he can develop more psychologically and as a man, as an individual, and which transcends more into turning him into a more mature fighter.
What is the fight?
Let him become the undisputed champion, bro. Let him become the undisputed champion.
But if your promoters don't financially see the...
Okay, then you want to rush him. That's
no. I'm not saying...
They might want to rush him. What are you going to do? He may not get beat, but I'm just saying I think it will be a nice feather in his hat to win the undisputed title by 25 years old, be a two-way world champion.
So as a fighter...
If he doesn't, then what can you make?
No.
let's say you can't. Let's say you don't make it. No, Ness. Let's say you don't make the undisputed title fights because they don't draw, they don't sell. Okay, what do you make them with? It's not like you can make fights with the other across the street with the other promoters. You already know you had this problem.
But is he not big enough?
Then what are you gonna do? You're gonna make like Terrence Crawford, who's complaining about Bob Arum, but 3 years ago he re-signed with him when he could have signed with PBC and fought all the welterweights. First you re-sign with him for 3 more years, and then after you don't get the fights, you want to sue him too. You know what I mean? No, that's not how it works, bro. You already know how this works. So if you don't go for the undisputed title, what can Bob get you based on the criteria of what's around? You know what I mean? Can he get you Gervonta? No. Can he get you Lomachenko? Possibly.
Why not?
He can make Gervonta.
He's a free agent.
If he could get you Gervonta, they would have made Crawford and Spence. Bro.
No, he's a free agent now.
He's a free agent after this fight who's expressed his displeasure with Mayweather Promotions.
He has.
And who
Everybody's got a lot of displeasure lately. There's a lot of displeasure lately in
boxing. Made it clear to shop himself around. But Paulie, he can move up Navarrete from 26 to 30. Navarrete's a fucking 7-foot Mexican that I don't know where they found him at. Fucking the pyramids and shit. He was at the top fixing, helping put it together.
Yeah.
Bro, Navarrete and Shakur at 30, to me, that does great business. I think it...
so let Navarrete move up and beat Nagawa or something. And then make it for a title fight.
Okay.
Set that up. Build it. Build it. Come on. Give me something.
But in the meantime, what does Shakur do while Navarrete is getting a title at 30?
Wait. I don't know, bro.
See, that's why Colbert, we needed that Colbert fight.
Yeah.
But
again, Colbert was at PBC.
That's still tough. Exactly.
The same complication.
But I think that Shakur is a big enough, I don't want to say superstar, but he's a big enough star in boxing that I think that the higher-ups at PBC would have understood what that fight meant for Colbert. Especially if had he not lost, Colbert would have become the position of Roger Gutierrez.
I think they wanted to put Colbert with Gervonta, so they wouldn't have put him with Shakur. They would have wanted to say if he would have stayed undefeated, they wanted to save him for a big Gervonta fight.
Have you guys seen who he's calling out? Like
who? Colbert?
Gary Russell.
Yeah.
He's saying, come on, let's do this. We're both coming off a loss. Let's do it for the fans. This is not me clout chasing.
They're both East Coast guys.
They're both with PBC.
It's possible, yeah.
The thing is, though, Gary would be moving up, and he does have a shoulder injury off of that.
Did he have a surgery already?
I don't know if he had surgery or if he needed, but definitely in that.
I think I saw a post of his where he was in the hospital. I think he might have got surgery. Don't quote me, but I think I did see a post.
Had he not needed any serious surgery, what do you guys think about that matchup? Colbert coming off a loss, Gary coming off a loss. What do you think, Jose?
Man, I'm just listening to you guys here. Everybody has a different opinion. You
got to give yours.
No. That's I'm
Shoot
just listening. What I think. With going back to the fight with Shakur, fuck, man, he's unbelievable. He's good IQ. His talent is great. Why not let him go and fight whoever he wants to fight and try to see where he's at? I think he's just gonna get better. We don't know.
But you got to be devil's advocate. Then he said Meldrick Taylor.
Listen, I'll tell you something.
Fernando Vargas.
I'll tell you something, man. When these guys are motivated, why take the motivation away by stopping them? They gotta stay active, and keep learning and getting.
But as the trainer, they give you that title. You're supposed to protect him from himself.
You're motivated to drive a car at 15 years old, but they don't let you.
Yeah, but still, you gotta understand. You gotta see where they're at and the sparring and the fights, how they look. How he looked really good. Why stop him? Get him somebody a little bit harder and keep building them and keep him motivated.
How important would a win over Lomachenko this year be for him? What does it do for him?
If I had Shakur, I would fucking do that fight.
But what does it do in your opinion? If he beats Lomachenko this year, man, what does it do for his career?
A lot. He will gain a lot of fans.
Can he get Lomachenko this year, or is he out?
I think he can beat him.
Leave the military?
I think he can beat him.
Is he going to leave the military? Lomachenko's in the middle of Ukraine.
I know he's.
I don't even know if you can make that fight realistic.
That would be a fight.
I thought he went to.
Nope, he's still in the Ukraine.
But just in case, if he was back, man, that fight would be a good fight. I would pay to see that fight. It would be a very interesting fight and a very exciting fight. Why not? I think Shakur could beat him.
So the other thing that Bob mentioned was Devin Haney, Kambosos winner. Is that too soon in your opinion?
Not necessarily, but isn't there a
so weight difference.
Rematch clause or something like that if Haney wins though?
There is, but
so
if
Kambosos wins,
mentioned it.
So if Kambosos wins, then it wouldn't be a rematch, and then he could go right into the Shakur fight.
Guys, I know
that's more doable.
I know we have to get David Benavidez on, so Jose, we do appreciate it. We will get him hopefully
Thank you guys.
back on.
Thank you so much, guys, for the invite. Hey, but
Jose was
before I
dying to
leave-
get out of
Hey,
here.
before I leave, I want to give a big shout out to Patrick, man. 5 stars, man, for letting us stay here at this beautiful house, man. We're about to leave Sunday, and thank you so much, man. It was great to be here.
All right.
FightStars.tv.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.